Global warming is a long-term phenomenon caused by constant rise in the Earth's temperature and climate system. This issue was found in the 1850s, 50 years after industrial period began obtaining energy from the combustion of fossil fuels, which resulted in a continuous rise in the Earth's temperature. So when are we going to realize it's time to wake up? Global warming and climate change have direct impact on the economy, access to clean water, and healthy foods. John Delaney also once said, "Climate change is the environmental challenge of this generation, and it's imperative that we act before it's too late."
Audio Jungle.
Mabuhay! Welcome to our webinar entitled A Protest Against Inaction on Emergence of Environmental Crisis, a webinar of the Uprise response towards climate justice.
A pleasant and lively afternoon to our guest speakers. Before we proceed with our agenda for the day, we would like to express our gratitude to all of you for being with us today. Once again, maayong buntag sa inyong tanan. I'm Andrea Condes, the Director of Documents and Operations of the FEU Environmental and Risk Organization.
And I am JHECEL, the Director of Documents and Operations of the FEU Environmental and Risk Organization. We would like to wish everyone a wonderful and blessed Friday afternoon. And before we get into the details of today's event, we'd like to commence with a prayer followed by the national anthem.
Glory to you, Almighty, for gathering us today. Give us the fortitude to conquer life's challenges so we can excel and be upright in everything that we do. Guide us to be united in diversity, that we may continue to serve and love one another. Amen.
And now, to officially begin our program, we are pleased to welcome our first guest speaker. She is an environmentalist and a member of Foundation for the Philippines Environmental Secretary Officer. She is also a former alumna and a member of FEU ERPH organization. She also graduated cum laude from Far Eastern University, Manila with a Bachelor of Arts and Interdisciplinary Studies, major in Global Development and Sustainability track. Once again, let us now welcome Miss Arianne Pimentel. Let's give her a round of applause.
Good day, Andrea and Giselle, and to all the Tamarangs. Thank you for having me in this webinar. It's such an honor to share my knowledge with all of you. As we all know, the world has progressed in both positive and negative ways, as seen by the current state of the environment as we saw on the news lately. In the report of Adams 2022 in the Catholic University's independent newspaper, climate change scientists fastened themselves to the JP Morgan building in Los Angeles on April 14, 2022 in an act of civil disobedience.
I apologize for interrupting, Ms. Pimentel, but you mentioned that scientists fastened themselves to the JP Morgan in Los Angeles, demonstrating a civil disobedience. What may be the reason for these scientists to act in this manner, given that scientists are more knowledgeable about code of ethics? Could you clarify where they're coming from?
That's a good question, Ms. Vihel. In reaction to the UN findings, climate experts from across the globe staged a global protest. As the IPCC noted in a newly released study, the present state of climate change is not only adding up to the recent rush of natural catastrophes, but it is also putting people's lives in danger by threatening food and water supplies, as UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres warned that the globe would become unlivable unless nations throughout the world rethink their energy policy. The UN Secretary General also stated, quote unquote, "This is not a fiction or exaggeration. It is what science tells us will result from our current energy policies. We are on a pathway to global warming of more than double the 1.5 degrees Celsius limit."
To be honest, Miss Pimentel, I completely agree. Since I've seen on the news recently how eager they are to convince and convey to everyone that we only have 3 to 5 years left to save our Mother Earth. Also, to add information to what you have said, according to Dr. Calmo, cited by Friedman 2022, the climate scientist at NASA, he keeps on saying, quote unquote, they are gripping, as there are no room for scientists to listen to their grievances, and they are willing to take risks for this gorgeous planet. On the other hand, since you've said earlier, quote, we are on the pathway to global warming of more than double of 1.5 degree. What can you say about the situation of our ozone layer today? As the ozone layer safeguards Earth inhabitants from harmful and UV radiation. Miss Pimentel?
To answer your question, Ms. Condes, in the midst of COVID-19 outbreak, because of the global slowdown in economic activity, there was a reduction in the emissions of primary pollutants, notably the ozone, and a change in the lower atmosphere's oxidative capability. As per Cazorla et al. 2020, more than one study has shown how the photochemical regime in the area under investigation influenced the anomalies size and sign. In accord with Derobakes et al. 2021 and Ordowix et al. 2020, a positive anomaly caused by weather circumstances was seen in a distant locations of a remainder of the globe, where the most strict containment measures were only adopted in March and April 2020. However, according to Walker 2022, it was only after companies reopened and the economy recovered from this pandemic that the widespread of the use of the chlorofluorocarbon in aerospray cans as coolants in refrigerators and air conditioners and as industrial cleaning agents. Uh, it became commonplace across the globe.
It is indeed awful and sad news, Miss Pimentel. As we all know, ozone depletion has a variety of negative consequences for individuals as well as the planet as a whole. According to Field 2019, the tropospheric ozone levels on Earth's surface are still a source of concern for people all over the world, as depletion of it can cause harm to public health, as well as crop and habitat production. With that said, there are ways that we can hopefully prevent it from worsening, such as the Paris Agreement. Am I right, Ms. Pimentel?
Yes, you are right, Ms. Vigil. However, Maisland 2021 stated that the carbon dioxide levels are growing at an alarming pace despite international agreements to decrease greenhouse gas emissions, such as the Kyoto and the Paris Agreement. Several researchers fear that if the current trend of global warming continues unchecked, it could have disastrous consequences for a large part of the world's ecosystem. This includes sea level rises that are out of control, droughts and floods that are unprecedented, and the extinction of many species. Vidal Barrett, as cited in Condes 2021, believes that the Paris Agreement fails to solve the quote-unquote free rider dilemma, which derives from the reality that the nation would reap the advantages of global efforts to restrict emissions regardless of their own contributions to the cost. If everyone shrinks, the global effort is doomed. If no one does their part, there will be no worldwide reductions in emissions.
That was very impressive. Thank you, Miss Pimentel. It was truly informative, relevant, and timely discussion, especially in the ongoing strike by international scientists. To proceed, we are now down to our last guest speaker for today. I am very
Excited to meet him.
How about you, Miss Bihil? Miss Bihil?
I am excited as well, Miss Condes. Now let me introduce to you our second guest speaker for today. He is none other than Mr. DIOS. He is the co-founder of Greenpeace Philippines, a former member of the UP Green League, graduated from the University of the Philippines Diliman with a Bachelor of Science in Environmental Science, a prominent environmental scientist and an environmental loving person that advocates for a greener future. Once again, please welcome the most esteemed environmental scientist, Mr. De Dios.
Thank you, Ms. Vihil, to that wonderful introduction and to those people that made this possible and organized this webinar. I am deeply humbled to be part of this discussion today and to share with you my knowledge. Honestly, the interaction a while ago was outstanding. And to add that well put information by Ms. Pimentel, I would like to start by discussing global warming. Sadly, as we all know, global warming is a long-term phenomenon caused by a constant heating of the Earth's temperature and its climate system. This phenomenon was first observed in the 1850s, 50 years after the industrial period began, obtaining energy from burning fossil fuels. According to NASA Global Climate Change Vital Signs of the Planet 2022, the constant rising of Earth's temperature is caused by human activities, fossil fuel burning, and machines that cause continuous increase of the Earth's temperature from zero point 0.2 degrees Celsius to 0.36 degrees Fahrenheit per decade. Climate change that's slowly killing our planet and causing global warming is caused by human activities.
Mr. Gildios, I would like to take this opportunity to ask you something since you've said and studied the environment yourself. Along with what you have said, global warming is due to the activities of humans such as fossil fuels. According also to NASA 2022, fossil fuels such as gasoline, coal, and natural gas generate roughly 81% of total power generation in the United States. We rely on these fuels for renewable energy at home to power our vehicle, to provide energy for industrialization. With that stated, as an ecologist, Mr. Pimentel, Mr. De Dios, sorry, Could you please elaborate what fossil fuel is and how it contributes significantly to the planet's deterioration and global warming?
Thank you for your insight, Ms. Condes. I would like to further elaborate what's global warming and climate change. For the past 172 years, fossil fuel combustion has caused irreplaceable damage to our environment and animal habitats that can cope with radical changes around them. Human activities produce harmful chemicals that contribute to a large number of side effects that we need to stop if we really want to live in a normal and not in extreme weather changes and a catastrophic calamities. Along with the Pacific Decadal Oscillation that consists of El Nino, La Nina, which is extreme drought and extreme drop of cold temperature in the Pacific region. This natural occurrence is a phenomenon in the Pacific region and the weather there is getting a paramount consequences to us compared to previous decades that passed. According to experts that study the past, present, and future climate, abnormalities are being observed and constant increase in global and ocean temperature and the rising sea level due to glaciers that are slowly melting due to global warming. Furthermore, like what Ms. Pimentel said earlier, the recent event of a NASA scientist civil disobedience act in the front of JP Morgan, which is the leading consumer of fossil fuel. This attracted lots of attention from concerned citizens about this theory about a 3 to 5 year lifespan of planet Earth. If we don't stop or minimize our harmful activities that are endangering our very existence, thank you for this wonderful opportunity and remember, be responsible citizen of the Earth.
That was quite a mouthful and very scientific information, Mr. DIOS. Thank you for being with us today. It is a privilege to be with you. Moving on, let us now proceed with discussing ways that we can do to prolong Earth's existence in a greener environment. By means of taking action such as preserving energy, as well as continuous following the 3 R's, reduce, reuse, and recycle, we can help by just doing the simple things. Am I right, Ms. Condes?
You are very right, Miss Vigil. In addition to what you have said, Miss Vigil, going green has cascading the effect on the state of the nation as a whole, since it addresses so many issues at once. That is why we need leaders who are quick to act but also thoughtful in their act. They need to be able to see the larger picture before taking action rather than only seeing a good or bad for the nation later. To provide one example, although it may be beneficial to environment, this approach may not be served as the most equitable solution for all parties involved from political, economic, social, cultural, and ethical standpoint. Climate change affects many aspects of our life. Am I right, Miss Vigil?
Yes, you're definitely right. And thank you for that, Ms. Condes. To finally end, let us leave you with this thought. The world is no longer the same as it was before, and we are the reason behind it. As long as we continue to burn fossil fuels and undervalue appropriate waste management, future generations will inherit a society that is more unsustainable and unjust. Families and communities will be unable to change with the times or adapt when required. It will be invigorating and motivating to see the globe to take action to limit pollution and climate change due to the risk, health, and economic ramification of fossil usage. Together, we act, we respond, and are aware of and accountable for a greener future.
Tamaraos! It's sad to say that we are now concluding this informative and this webinar rather. But please always remember to be informed, understand, and be part of the change that will save our Mother Earth. We would also like to thank our lovely guest speakers for sharing their knowledge with us. Thank you so much, Miss Arianne Pimentel and JERICO de Dios. Once again, I'm Andrea Condes.
And I am JHECEL Vigil.
And this is FEUERPH reminding you all trees for another 3 years. And
hashtag let the earth breathe. Thank you so
Yes.
much, guys. Thank you for our guest speakers.
Thank you everyone for the successful
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
thank you so much, Miss Pimentel and Miss DIOS.
Thank you so much.